In this video, I'm going to share with you some nuclear bombshells that Luis Elizondo, the former head of ATIP, shared last night. I advise that you watch this entire video the entire way through, and at the end, we can celebrate together. Now, before I share with you those bombshells, I think it's incumbent that I provide you a pledge that Elizondo made when he opened up his Twitter account on August 22nd, 2020. You can believe it, you can disbelieve it, I don't really care, I'm just sharing this with you. He writes, "My pledge to you. I will always tell you the truth. I will own my mistakes and hold myself accountable. Everyone will be treated with respect no matter their position. Abuse or hatred toward others will not be tolerated. I will always push for full disclosure." Now for the good stuff, muchacho. Now here is where I collated his three initial tweets that I found profound and wrote, "Remarkable sentiments by the former head of ATIP, Lue Elizondo, regarding James Fox's upcoming film, The Phenomenon," and the collation of the three initial tweets. "Folks, I am normally silent and careful not to endorse products, even if I support them. However, I am making an exception in this case. Although not part of the production, the movie by James Fox, Phenomenon, is the one worth watching. It says things I can't. It's accurate. It's verified, and it's real. I know this because while at the Pentagon we had the files. Yes, many of you already know some of the information, but not all of it. Literally thousands of files have yet to be released that only bolster this production. Once they are, you will realize just how on the mark this movie is. Knowing now what it takes to make a quality production, I'm amazed by the access that was gained by the producers and the director. Something tells me this is only the beginning. Bravo, Mr. Fox, Mr. Torme, and Dan." Underneath my tweet showcasing Elizondo's three initial tweets, he responds to Tommy Zito's tweet, where Tommy says, "I don't know about you, dude, but I can't wait. Like a onion, I hope a new layer can be pieced together. This movie reinforces the obvious cover-up that I was privy to, and you all were victim." Paul Dallin writes, "Victim? Elizondo, trying really hard to go to bed, but I feel this is important. Yes, victim. I say this because people in certain positions are expected to have access to information. But what if that info was purposely kept from them? Now what? And then that person finds out." Luis Elizondo continues, "The truth? Now what? Imagine being the guy who has all the secrets, only to find out later that you really don't, and neither does your boss. What do you do in that case? Well, most bureaucrats simply move on. Well, not Chris, as in Chris Mellon. He took his oath to the American people seriously and decided to pursue the truth doggedly until at some point much later on, he found the office he was looking for. Imagine the frustration and anger he must have felt after realizing there was indeed a UFO office in the Pentagon." Lou continues, "Now consider the fact that Chris had the job of knowing all the secrets, but this is one secret he wouldn't be allowed to know. Is this illegal? Is this unethical? Is this rogue? All appropriate questions indeed, but nevertheless, rather than burn down the barn, he decided to take the high road and use the US government bureaucracy against itself. In my opinion, this is the trait of a true strategic master and artist and intellectual. So with no guarantees or promises, Chris decides to risk his entire family's future to bring the truth to the American people and the world. I tell you what, if that man ever ran for office now, you bet your ass I would vote for him. Chris is exactly what I hope to be one day. No exaggeration. Sorry for the typos, I should be in bed." Disco Volante says, "Was Chris Mellon privy to that cover-up? He stated that there was no cover-up in a podcast non-TTSA related, if I recall correctly. Would be good to know everyone's level set now." Elizondo responds, "Chris Mellon is by far one of the most respectable human beings I've ever had the privilege and honor to know. I don't say this lightly because I have served with the best. He is part of disclosure, not the cover-up. He has put on the line everything, including reputation, fortune, and future to bring you the truth. He is a patriot, a gentleman, and an incredible citizen. In fact, when the world finally realizes what Chris really did for his country and this planet, he will be remembered for a very, very long time. Most has yet to be said." Now, the podcast that Volante was referencing, where he states that Mellon said he doesn't believe there's a cover-up, was a Coast to Coast AM interview from June 26, 2016. And I think Mellon stated strongly that he was skeptical that there was a cover-up, but what you have to realize is that he stated that before he found out there was a cover-up. And in fact, I let Disco Volante recognize that by replying to him and saying he found out about ATIP after those comments, the comments on Coast to Coast, according to my research. And then Elizondo responds to me and says, UFO Jesus is correct. Chris tried for many years in vain, only to run into dead ends, but persistence paid off and he finally found what he was looking for. This is probably why he is so motivated to tell people the truth. He was a victim himself at one time. Chris Mellon was the former Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense for Intelligence for both the Bush and Clinton administrations. At one point, he was the third highest rank in the Pentagon for intelligence. I need to tell you this just to give you an idea of exactly how far up the government he was. And in the following clip from To the Stars Academy Talks, Episode 5, Lue Elizondo gives the description of when Mellon finally discovered a UFO office in the Pentagon.
I remember meeting you, and I remember being at the Pentagon and someone saying, hey, a former very senior level DOD official is here to talk to you. And I remember you coming in and saying, hey, listen, I really would like to know about this particular portfolio you guys are doing here called ATIP. And first of all, I was astonished that you even knew that we were part of that effort. You know, we weren't prepared to tell you anything. And of course, I remember very quickly looking over my shoulder, kind of laughing at one of my guys there that's with me. And I looked at you and I said, okay, well, if you want a briefing, that's fine, but you're going to need these tickets. And it was a long laundry list, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and so forth. And I remember you diligently writing notes and you said, okay, no sweat. And I know from the inside, it takes over a year sometimes to even get nominated for some of these tickets. So as you left, I kind of looked back and snickered to my colleagues and said, we'll never see him again, right? That problem's solved. We don't have to worry about that. And I'll be damned if the very next week you came back to my office and they said, hey, he's out here again. I said, well, what does he want? We can't let him in unless he's even got the tickets. And I remember one of my guys saying, Mr. Elizondo, he's got the tickets. And I could not believe that within a week's time, you had somehow managed, and I verified it and validated it. You did. So at that point, I realized, okay, this guy's for real. He's got the connections.
Now let's continue with the Twitter melee. Magali Fartek writes, Lou, I know how genuine you and To the Stars Academy are, and I'm looking forward to see this movie, especially now that you recommend it, and I'm looking forward to find out what you kept your lips tight about. Just can't wait. From a fellow Canadian D&D employee fan, Elizondo responds, Magali, I really do believe you will enjoy this film. It provides the human element, which is something rarely seen in efforts such as this. I think most will agree when watching we are on the precipice, as most have already assumed. James Fox, the director of the movie The Phenomenon, which airs tomorrow, mind you, stated, thank you, Lue Elizondo. Your support and all you do is greatly appreciated. Actually, we owe you the thanks. Over a decade, I labored trying to get the truth out. You did it in 2 hours, actually 1 hour and 48 minutes. Congrats, my friend, you did it. Of course, my next question is, The Phenomenon Part 2. Great works, James. I am humbled. Jay Raza wrote, documentaries, studies, MSM, attention are all good, but UFO disclosure will forever remain stuck in the fringes until the day DOD decides to release clear images of a UFO displaying observables. Get those images declassified and the world changes instantly. Elizondo responds. Or people decide to take the topic of disclosure into their own hands and demand their government do what it is intended to do, protect and inform its citizens. By the way, there is a lot more than just those videos and photos. I am confident as time progresses, more will follow. In the following clip from To the Stars Academy Talks, Episode 4, Elizondo starts off by asking, what are UFOs and are they a threat? And then goes into the necessity for the American public to have a conversation about this reality. And he does it very persuasively. Here's the clip.
The question is, what are they? And do they pose a threat? And that answer, we still don't have anything solid to go on, other than more and more data that we continue to obtain on a regular and routine basis. I believe that having that information allows our leadership in our country to make informed decisions. That's what we pay them to do. And I think transparency is very important when it comes to this topic, because ultimately this is a topic that affects every one of us. You know, let's not forget that government derives its power and authority from the people, okay, not the other way around. The government works for us. The government serves us. We don't serve the government. And I think it is incumbent upon the government, when you're talking about something like this that affects all of us, to have a conversation. You know, there's this, it's not unlike any other topic of concern, whether it's civil unrest or it's healthcare or it's lack of education or poverty in America or anything else. This is a topic that doesn't get better the longer you keep a lid on it. I think we need to have that conversation, and the sooner we have this conversation and keep it in the open public, in the eye of the public, the better. I do believe that sunlight is a great antiseptic.
Not only did Lue Elizondo endorse this upcoming film that airs tomorrow, but so did Christopher Mellon. He wrote on September 17th, coming October 6th to a screen near you, the most informative and engaging documentary ever made on the topic of UFOs. Now, I hear a lot from many people that claim that To the Stars Academy is a psychological operation, and they're trying to lead the public astray when it comes to the UFO subject. But I have a question for you all. If that is the case, then why is Elizondo and Chris Mellon endorsing this documentary? And if To the Stars Academy is merely a limited hangout, as so many people are committed asserting, why are they promoting and endorsing a documentary that covers the full array of decades and decades and decades of ufological history? That doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, but I'm sure the goalposts will be moved, because that's part of the game. Special thanks to all my patrons and YouTube members. If you'd like to support the channel in this way, there's a link for it below. And thank you for everyone watching this video, and I look forward to seeing you in the next episode.